Today, we are going to talk about LGBTQ students' rights here at Vaughn. Happy Pride Month. It's June, so what better time than to talk about the rights of students of varying genders and sexualities? So today, first I'll introduce the topic so that you understand what we're talking about. We will talk about the students' rights that are protected by law. I'll share some information about how anyone can be an ally, and I will wrap up by giving you some resources. So first, I want you to know that VISA has always been proud to support our LGBTQ students. We have had a GSA, that's a Gay Straight Alliance Pride Club on campus since 2008. It's also one of our largest clubs on campus, and it is one of the largest GSAs in Los Angeles. We have had students bring same-sex partners to prom. We have an all-gender restroom on the second floor. We host parent forums to make sure parents have information about these topics. We've even hosted the San Fernando Valley Pride Conference before. So when I say LGBTQ, let's talk about what that means. LGBTQ traditionally stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning. You may have also heard the acronym LGBTQIA or IA2. That's also for intersex or asexual, and some people include ally in that mix as well. There are lots of other varying gender and sexuality identities as well, such as pansexual or agender or genderqueer or gender non-binary or bigender. Some people who are in the indigenous population refer to themselves as two-spirit folks. There are many different labels for these varying identities, but for the sake of this presentation, when I say LGBTQ, I am speaking about everything that falls under that umbrella. So the one term in there that maybe has confused some people is the term transgender or gender non-binary. Someone who identifies as trans is someone who is more comfortable in the opposite gender. They feel that the gender that they were assigned at birth is not accurate for the gender that they identify as in their mind. A person who doesn't feel comfortable with any assigned gender identity is often someone that we refer to as agender or gender non-binary or gender fluid or gender variant. These are folks who just don't have a specific label, male or female. Why do you need to know this information? 92% of LGBT youth say that they hear negative messages about being LGBT. The top sources for this are school, the internet, their peers. We want to make sure that we make these students feel safe and protected, particularly here at school. Let's talk about the rights that students have here at school. All students have a right to be themselves. That right is protected by law. Public schools that receive state or federal funding are legally required to protect against harassment of LGBTQ students. You have a right to feel safe and attend school in an environment where you are protected. Administrators, faculty, and staff are required by state law to intervene when they witness discrimination, harassment, or bullying. This means that no one can be called gay, whether or not they are gay, as a slur. It means that anybody who is gay or that someone thinks is gay deserves to feel safe. It also means that no one can be harassed for certain behaviors or appearances. Anyone can wear a skirt or makeup. Anyone can paint their nails. Anyone can like football. And your right to just be who you are is protected. Sometimes harassment still happens, but it shouldn't. If you're being harassed or you see it happening to someone else, you should report it immediately. Schools are required to protect you. And if you report it, they're required to protect you against retaliation. Your gender expression is your right. What that means is that if the name that is on your birth certificate is not the name that you feel safe being called, you should be able to tell your teacher what name you desire to be called, and they should respect that. The same goes for your pronouns. Some people use pronouns like she, her, hers. Like you see on my name, I am Mrs. And when people speak about me, they use the terms she, her, hers. And other people are comfortable using he, him, his. And some people prefer they, them, theirs. This might be a little bit confusing, but we'll address it later on so that you understand it. So for example, you probably already kind of use this sometimes. If you see case somewhere and you say, oh, whose case is this? And someone says, I don't know. Do you think whoever's it is will come back for it? Someone say, yeah, maybe they'll come back for it at lunch. If you don't know whether a person is male or female, you typically use they, them anyway. You also do that when speaking about dogs. If you're looking at a dog and you say, oh, like, look how beautiful that dog is. They have such a wonderful coat. If you don't know whether it's a male dog or female dog, you often use they. So once you do know that someone isn't male or female and that they prefer gender neutral pronouns, it can be pretty easy to figure it out, although it can take some practice. So what about email and Google Classroom and Zoom and other online accounts? You have a right to use the name you typically are referred to as. This doesn't mean that you can, change your name to Mr. Pinky just because you feel like it for the day. It just means that on any typical day, if there's a name that you typically are referred to as by your friends, or the name that you generally want to be referred to as, your online accounts should reflect that as well. If you need help making a change on any of those things, contact an administrator and they can help you through that process. Per our state law, visa students are allowed to use whatever gendered restroom matches their personal gender identity. There is also one set of all gender restrooms, which is on the second floor of the main visa building. These bathrooms may be used by anyone without having to pick a gendered side to enter. Finally, let's talk about how to be an ally. If you do not identify as LGBTQ, there are still some steps that you can take to make folks feel safe. You can start by putting your own pronouns in your email signature so that people know that you prefer she, her, hers, or he, him, his. You can speak up if you see someone being mistreated. And most importantly, you can educate yourself. You can learn more about the LGBTQ community by looking at informational videos on YouTube or reading books. The LA Public Library has great resources. And finally, some resources for you. So we have a website. The address is down there at the bottom that has some information with resources. It can tell you about places that you can get peer support or where to go if you're in crisis. We also have a Pride Club. If you're interested in joining, you can text at Visa Pride to 81010 to join our Visa Pride text group and find out about our meetings. And then here are some outside resources. Somos Familia Valle is a community group that caters to LGBTQ youth and adults here in the San Fernando Valley. The Los Angeles City also has an employee who her sole job is to work as the LGBTQ liaison. Her name is Caroline Menjivar, and her email is there, and she can connect you with resources as well. If you're looking for support for parents so that you can help to understand a family member or maybe your own coming out process, there's a group called Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gay People, PFLAG for short. And the Los Angeles chapter has Spanish speaking groups for parents as well. If you click that link there, it'll bring you to their website. Some of the visa teachers also have training to support LGBTQ students, and that's on our website too. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have any questions, please ask your advisory teacher or email a counselor or administrator.